Hello and welcome once again to Murfer's Music Reviews. And usually on this show we talk about more well-known and established groups. This isn't always the case, but there's certainly bands that have had more chart success. But today I thought it might be interesting to talk about four bands that, all from the 2000s, that I thought were going to be the next big thing. Unfortunately, I was quite wrong in all cases. But they were all interesting bands, and I thought they were worth bringing up. So this may be a little bit indulgent, as they're bands that I love that perhaps didn't get the love they deserve. So, or maybe I was wrong. But yes, that's just how it happens sometimes, and unfortunately, bands don't get as big as they should be. But nevertheless, we'll get on with the episode. And once again, the works are done a painting of works. Where are you? What's going on in the painting? Well, it's bands that never made it, so I just painted you on your own. Okay. Yeah, because you see, they never made it, so they're not in the picture. Oh, I see, I get it. It's very clever. Thanks again for the painting. You're welcome. So, yes, but we wouldn't have a show without sponsors, and so here are Mama and Papa Murph with the sponsorship announcement. Hello, Papa Murph here, and Mama Murph, and today we're going to talk about G-strings and... Oh, what is it this time? No, not the underpants that go up your arse. I mean the string on the guitar. He's been up for 3 days writing about how the G string is the least appreciated string on the guitar. You know, the E and the B get used all the time, but the G just gets used for the bendy bits. Fine, we'll just do the sponsorship announcement then. Can't say anything these days. All Murferverse programming is brought to you by Home for the LD Lee. They sell laserdiscs, HD DVDs, and CDs. And if you put in the code MURPH, you get 20% off of your order. So go check them out. Home for the LD Lee, the kings of laserdiscs. Now, sometimes having a famous name and having a famous relative can be quite helpful when it comes to launching a career in entertainment. At the very least, it can get you a foot in the door. But in the case of this band, it didn't seem to do much at all. Now, this band, which is technically considered still together, although they've been inactive since 2014, is the new number 2.
Would you like anything, Mr. Barlow? Would you like something to eat? Maybe a banana or something?
A banana? What, just because I'm gorilla, I only eat bananas, huh?
I'm so sorry.
Where have you been? Since 2007. Yeah.
Didn't mean to offend you. Maybe, you'd like something to drink, a coffee or a sandwich or maybe a smoothie?
I have a smoothie. I like smoothies.
Oh, great. Okay, we'll get a smoothie. What flavour would you like?
Banana, please. Phil Collins.
Do you know Phil Collins?
Did you say Phil Collins? Well, take a look at me now. Well, there's just an empty space. And you're coming back to me.
No.
It's against the odds. It's a chance I like to take.
That's the wrong. That's the wrong thing.
What one?
In the air tonight.
In the air tonight, don't know that one. Something like that, yeah? Okay.
Okay, so we're
I'm
gonna...
ready when you are.
Okay, roll.
Okay.
Rolling.
You want me to do some of that business?
It's not necessary.
You sure?
Yeah, we'd just like you to look a bit wistful. Could you?
I don't know what that word means. Do you want me to pull that? Hey! Huh? Hey! Rock and roll.
If you could just keep it a bit more downbeat than that, please. We'd like you to look a bit sort of like, imagine you're in the jungle, and you just.
I live in Dalston, huh? Jungle, so fucking. I don't like this guy. Can we get another cameraman? No. You know who I am.
The new number 2 were formed in London by George Harrison's son Danny and Oliver Hicks. They were later joined by various different people, but the most important of the others was the son of Tony Hicks from the Hollies, Paul Hicks. And so you'd think with those sorts of connection, the new number 2 would have sort of, had it easy. But no, as it turns out, they did not. Maybe it was because they were recording under the name New Number 2, whereas if they'd gone with just being Danny Harrison's band, the name might have drawn more people in, but I guess people just didn't know what the New Number 2 was. Apparently they took the name The New Number 2 from the British cult classic television series The Prisoner, as they liked the idea of it being sort of an anonymous person. So I guess that may have been by choice. They released an EP in 2006 that didn't really do anything, but they really came to my attention with their second single, Choose What You're Watching, which came out in... I thought it was earlier, I remember it being earlier, but apparently it was 2008. And I really love this song. I think it kind of has a sort of classic Foo Fighters-esque vibe, mixed with maybe the French band Air, and obviously some of George's influence in there as well. It's still, I think that's always going to be an unavoidable comparison for Danny. So we're going to give that song 4 out of 4 opposable thumbs up. They had released one other single before that, which was called Another John Doe.
I'm rolling your way, road trip travelator. Step on for a while and discover your complaints, You're pushing me, I push a printer laser. Another John Doe and another face to play.
And that was, that's good, but it's not as good as Choose What You're Watching. It's probably a bit more along the lines of Air. And I don't think that it's Yeah, it's fine for what it is. I'd probably give that one 2 out of 4, a possible thumbs up. Another song that's worth mentioning is a song called Yomp, which managed to get into the game Rock Band. They had quite the connection with Rock Band because Danny was heavily involved in Beatles Rock Band. I don't know if he did motion capture for his father's performances or something, but yes, it was certainly, I think it was almost a project that he not quite spearheaded, but certainly was a champion of. They released an album called You Are Here. This was followed by a second album called The Fear of Missing Out, and for that album they released a video for the song Make It Home. It was really Choose What You're Watching that made me think these guys are going to be huge. For whatever reason they weren't. Their biggest break came the following year in 2013 when they were asked to score the film Beautiful Creatures. Yes, Tennis. Yes, hello, Tennis. Hello, Tennis! Yes, was something you were after. Well, I was just thinking we could review the film. I suppose we could. Probably not here, though. Maybe do that as a separate video. Fair enough. Hello, Tennis! Eventually Oliver Heck left the group, and then I think Danny just got too busy doing other things. He's in charge of remastering his father's back catalogue. He also had a side project called Fistful of Mercy with Ben Harper and Joseph Arthur. And he's released a couple of solo albums, so he seems to be doing okay, but I just still think that he's never quite gotten the level of attention that perhaps he deserves.
As the bird flew through the hole. We don't eat your food. We're sick of the water. Stop this abuse. Plastic and poison. Your head's in the news, but you're still chasing the farmer. Oh, please still live out below from Megatech and the corner.
He is still working a lot with Paul Hicks. Paul works on Danny's solo records, and he's also heavily involved in the George Harrison. He's done the new remixes for the anniversary releases. Overall, I'd say that I was really taken in with that first song that I heard, and I did really think that they were going to be huge, but listening to stuff after that, there's certainly a lot of great stuff there, but maybe they weren't quite ready yet. So I can kind of see why they didn't really catch on. But Danny's certainly very talented. He also has appeared at a few tribute shows to his father, and it is quite eerie how much he looks like him.
Cool cherry cream, nice apple tart. I feel your taste all the time we're apart. Coconut fudge, yes, you know it blows down all the blues. But you'll have to have them all pulled out after the Savoy trouble.
But I kind of started the video with them just because if a band with somebody that's the son of a Beatle didn't make it to the big time, such as it were, I mean, I got to play a few big festivals and they did get to score that film, but, you know, when you've got the son of a Beatle involved, you think that there'd be a bit more attention there, but it just didn't happen. Most bands don't have that, and the next band is a great example of that. This was a band from Australia, from Melbourne, called Spacecake. Not to be confused with about 15 other bands that have used that name both before and since. As a result, they do become quite difficult to look up, because if you look for an Australian band called Spacecake, it'll bring up one from Perth. If you just look up Spacecake in general, you'll get lots of recipes for things that are probably not legal in most of the world. Yes, there's American bands, I think there's a few British bands, so it gets very difficult to track them down. Their first single has an orangutan on the cover, so it gets extra points from me for that, and it was called Hi.
I'm sitting around watching the world turn around above my head. I'm whistling a tune, thinking of you, hoping everything's okay. You're singing a song, riding along, happy for it to take all day. Take all day. I'm humming the blues, nothing to lose, watching the dead just drift away. Drift away. Sunshine's in your eyes, no need to cry. Gonna get high, gonna touch the sky. Ain't coming down no more. Getting high, gonna touch the sky. Ain't coming down, 'cause you're high.
But the song that really brought them to my attention was their second single, Always Talking.
She's always talking about the way things used to be. She's always complaining about the things I do and say.
And maybe it was the video that sort of made me think that, because it happens in the video, they become these big rock stars.
She's always talking
This and the next single, Shed My Skin, which did actually get played on the ABC show Rage.
Changing my color, I'm changing my shade. Shedding my skin. Everything is spinning round, all around this town. And just like old times, gonna ground. I do it all the time. Do it all the time. Am I a broken man? I'm changing my color. I'm changing my shade. Shedding my skin, I'm changing my color, I'm changing my shade. Shedding my skin,
And it also features a performance by the legendary Gus Mercurio, who, if you're a fan of Ozploitation movies, he would be a familiar face to you. And then they were in a studio, one owned by Joe Camilleri from Jojo Zepp and the Falcons and the Black Sorrows, and it just sort of felt like the future was going to be coming up Spacecake, to misquote Milhouse from The Simpsons. And that was basically all we heard. They were going into the studio. Then the next I heard was that Paul McCarthy was doing some sort of business training course where that you could go and he would teach you how to do businessy things. The rest of the band did continue on as Anthony Ree and the Charm Offensive. I think Jamie left at some point. But they are sort of still going on and off with Anthony and Mark. And in 2019, they finally released the album, Space Junk.
you did what you said that you ever do. You said you wouldn't go away, you'd always stay. You wanted more than life could give. So you quit, you saw the light, and it was so bright, and inside you and you
So this was an album that fans were waiting for in 2001, and it came out in 2019. With no real fanfare. I basically had heard that it was coming and didn't really hear anything about it until I started doing research for this video. And I've listened to a few songs from it, and it's okay. Maybe that's perhaps why they sort of shelved it for so long. It's good, but it's just not quite as good as the singles had been. They certainly had a lot of talent and a lot of charisma, and I think that perhaps, given the right break at the right time, they could have been huge. They were just perhaps not in the right place at the right time. But those two particular songs, Shed My Skin and Always Talkin', they will forever be classics in my mind. I give them both 4 out of 4 opposable thumbs up, if I didn't already say that. And from a Melbourne band, we now go to Sydney. And I did say these were all from the 2000s. This was actually the early 2010s. So, close enough. And this was a band that was a rock/hip-hop group called She-Rex. She-Rex consisted of Nikita Rast on vocals, Sarah Julian on vocals and synth, Darcy Owen Simpson on guitar, and initially it was Tash Adams on drums, but she was later replaced by Scarlett Saramore on drums. Now, their first single was The 11th Hour, but the one that I first saw, so that's where we're going to start, because this is sort of coming through my perspective. One night, staying up late, watching Rage, they came on with the song Power, which spells power for anybody that can't spell out there. I mean, there's people that voted for Trumpty Dumpty, so there are people out there that are that stupid, so I just thought I'd better say that, just in case.
Power, muscle, sweat, drip, passion, substance, clench, fist, conscious action, tight grip, strength and change, I'm music, focus, master technique, healing, plaster, world fix, not every race mix, artists write the flip scripts, agile, control, armless me, energy and harmony, sovereignty, quality, transparency in democracy, logically stopping the hypocrisy, nonchalantly, quality, topping priorities of the economy. This is what we are, should we choose to kick the line? Redefine the books, but you be told otherwise. This is what we have, should we choose to reassign? Power in the grip, don't you think? Power to PEOPLE, we flex so they can see we POWER, we are.
And I absolutely love this song, so I'm going to give it 4 out of 4 opposable thumbs up. And I think what I love about this is that I just never heard anything like it before. I don't think I've ever heard anything like it since, to be honest. There was just such an energy about it, the heavy drums and guitar mixed with this sort of industrial meets ambient synthesizers, and Nikita Rast's more rapped delivery rather than sang delivery. It's very different to anything that I'd normally be exposed to. Plus the video is a lot of fun too. So of course after I saw that I immediately sought them out online and checked out their earlier single, The 11th Hour.
11th hour with the watchtower stuck and the wind whips my hips to run fast. One past hour of the last minute and I'm in at the moment. Spending it is infinite where it begins and it ends it. But the clock's night lights, I ride, time right for nocturnal high. Pick sides from trees of last chances. On the end of the road, the choice dances. Sun and moon set to see what we do as soon as we stop killing time with the blue noose and use. Hands that tick, start heels that click, love in the face of it, give it some dust with feet. Hourglass sand, tick through fingers through and days are flying, don't land, I was speeding on grams. So put them on detox, till they give this top. What's the time?
Initially I didn't like that one as much, but it is actually also really good. I'd probably give it 3 out of 4 opposable thumbs up. They then released their third single, The Heist.
Make ways to run the street, alleyways and lanes of ours, living at large, we on the beat. And every clock strikes a messy success when organized time when our presidents get together best. See the day, take it for what it's worth and drive.
I'd say I'd give that 3 out of 4 opposable thumbs too. And then Tash Adams decided that she wanted to leave the group. She also makes jewelry and wanted to focus on that, so she moved on and started focusing on her jewelry career. It was around this time that they released their fourth single, Arson Attack. This didn't get a video. I'm guessing that's because they didn't have a drummer at the time. I'd say this is probably the weakest of their singles. But then with their fifth and final single, This Way, with Scarlett Saramore, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, I apologize if I got it wrong, they released This Way, and I think this was a great return to form, and yes, I would probably give that one 4 out of 4 opposable thumbs up too.
ocean.
Unfortunately, after that, they posted on Instagram, due to circumstances beyond our control, we have to break up. And so they did. Nikita has stayed in the music business. She's released a few more pop-orientated songs.
On the runway, leaving problems at the cabin door. Sometimes it's number and falls down behind the horizon wall. Found my seat number, sit down and nod it. Strap myself in the seatbelt, get the stuff out the cabinet. No one read me the safety card. Life flying by, baggage I manage drops away as I touch sky. Spin prepared, about to take a little trip.
Sarah has formed a new band called Sui, or I don't know how to pronounce it. It might be Suix, I don't know. I'm not a languages expert. I believe it's a French word. They're pretty good from what I've heard, and not really my cup of tea, but yeah. You mentioned tea, yes. You mentioned tea? Tea? Is it tea time? Not right now, no. I mentioned that something wasn't my cup of tea. Oh. What would you like a cup of tea? Not right now, thank you. Okay. Darcy seems to have mostly moved on to acting. I think she was already an actor before the band had started, and I guess that maybe that's just her first passion, and so she's gone back to doing more of that. So she seems to be doing quite well for that. She's been in a few fairly high-profile things on television in Australia, so yes.
So I think Claire Hobson has quite an attraction towards Stephen because I think he has a lot of qualities that she doesn't have. He's very self-contained and mysterious, very self-confident. I think she lacks a bit of confidence. He's not very needy for people's love, but she's quite needy and she's very drawn to him in a very dangerous way. One of my favourite scenes was the scene where I have Stephen come and see Claire in hospital. Okay. I was bitten, but I didn't change.
Bullshit. You tell me the goddamn truth, girl.
I'm serious. Look.
Jesus Christ.
What's your problem? I didn't change. I must be immune.
Well, that is the most repulsive thing. Oh. And look, I mean, what I'm trying to say, is that pus? Oh God, that's nasty. Oh. I mean, we should, get a rig alone.
Let's do that.
Tash Adams did return to the music industry with a new project. They were called Fall Stars, and they had an interesting premise where that it was more sort of visual based and all that, but honestly I didn't care for that at all, to be perfectly honest.
Credited my credit card decline slip. Blind right when I seized you growing and inhibition shrink. Then completely move over. Girls and drinks lined up, banging a road. Trying to chat my way into another Paddington home. Fashionable clothes, chapstick, a packet of Vogue. Oh my God, I'm the biggest wanker I know.
But Scarlett has moved on. She's gone into the band Down Girl, who are actually supporting the Foo Fighters on their upcoming tour. So, well, they're on a couple of shows. But yeah, so they're doing quite well for themselves. They've supported a lot of other bands, I think, and they've just been around the scene for quite a while. So they're certainly well respected, and they're a great band that maybe we should talk about at another time. But yes, unfortunately, the She-Rex story just kind of ends, and you don't really get any sense of closure. They all still appear to be friends, but yes, the band just ended, and that was that. They just said that circumstances beyond their control. They didn't go into any more detail as to what they were. I think it's a little bit like what happened with Glitterous, probably, a decade later. Both very much feminist bands and political bands and activist bands. Both had a very sort of iconic logo for their fans. And both just kind of, when it seemed like things are going great, just announced they'd broken up. So, yes, there's a lot of interesting parallels there. Maybe members of both will one day get together and form a supergroup. That'd be cool. And for our final group for this episode, we're going to go back to the UK, to Sheffield, for Pink Grease. Although when I did first see them, I must admit I did think they were American. I don't really know why. There was just something about the video that made me think, yeah, they're from New York. But no, they're from Sheffield. They were heavily influenced by glam rock, most notably David Bowie, Iggy Pop, T-Rex and Kiss, as well as sort of more new wave stuff like Duran Duran and punk rock like The Damned. They also had a keyboard wizard in the band called Nicholas Collier, who built his own synthesizers, and so that kind of gave them a few different sounds that you wouldn't normally hear on a sort of more rock, punk / glam sort of record. The first song that I heard of theirs was their 2004 single, The Pink Giarris, which I think is probably the best song to really be introduced to them by, as it's an introduction to the band, The Pink Giarris, Pink Grease. And I think this is a great song, so I'm going to give it 4 out of 4 opposable thumbs up. But that was my introduction to the band. They'd been around for a couple of years before that. I've not been able to find their first 2 singles, Working All Day and Waiting So Long, but I did find The Nasty Show.
1, 2, 3, ow!
It was fine for what it was, but it didn't really do it for me. I'd probably give it... I have no idea what made that noise. Perhaps Nicholas Collier is standing outside with his weird synthesizers.
Just trying to make the one I play at the moment. When I made it, I didn't realise the band was going to get anywhere, and I didn't realise we would be travelling on planes and things like that. So I didn't make it very well. So this one's really kind of supposed to be more reliable, and it's neater, and it looks better and stuff. You can see inside it if you want.
Now, their previous single was called Fever. But back to the Pink Cherries, it did make it to number 75 on UK charts. The follow-up single, This Is For Real, didn't chart. But the single after that, Strip, did. It got to number 36. Their follow-up single to that, which was Peaches, it got to number 44. The next single, Ordinary Girl, didn't chart. Nor did the next one, Alien, which I think is, out of all of their songs that I've heard, is probably my second favourite. then their final single was called Car Lights. That got to number 34 in the UK. Looking at their albums, well, the first was an EP called All Over You, so it was Pink Grease All Over You, which I think is quite clever, and that came out in May 2003, and it did get some minor critical praise, as did the follow-up, the album This Is For Real, and it did have moderate commercial success. They did record a second album called Mechanical Heart. This was planned to release sometime in 2006 or 2007, but they were either dropped by the label or they left the label. There was problems with the label, which is often the case, and so they broke up soon after that. It's a shame because they did seem to have quite the following in the UK. They'd had a few singles on the charts. I don't know why they left the label or why the label left them. Surely they could have found another label to pick them up, but I guess no one was willing to take the risk on something that was a little bit different. The singer Rory Luarns, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, I apologize if I didn't. No point apologizing if I did get it correct. He has a new band called White Witches. Well, I say new, they've been around for a while. I've listened to some of their stuff. It's not as good as Pink Grease, but it's pretty good for what it is. White Witches are okay. I don't think they're as good as Pink Grease. Not as interesting. More sort of your standard goth rock kind of music, I think. The guitar player Steven Santa Cruz unfortunately passed away in 2021. Prior to that, he'd mostly been doing film work, so making short movies. Something he seemed to be quite skilled at, and that's probably why Pink Grease's videos were all so good. Nicholas Collier was selling his homemade synthesizers for a while. The link is now dead, so I don't know what's happening there. And I've not been able to find out much about the rest of the band. But Pink Grease will always be remembered, specifically for Pink GREs, and to their fans for the one album, and for the very scarce few promotional copies of the second album. So yes, another great band that unfortunately didn't quite make it. But that's all we have time for this week. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to tune in next week for whatever we do next week. Don't forget our website, Don't forget Home for the LD Lee. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. And don't forget that you have been watching Murfer's Music Review!